Okay, now we're going to try these things called dilations. There's two types. You can do it by expanding it, making it bigger, and shrinking it. It's called a shrinking dilation. Okay, so if I expand it, that means it gets bigger. And we have to know by how much. We have what's called a scale factor to do so. So for expansion, I'm going to do a scale factor of 2, a scale factor of 3, and to shrink something, you multiply by a number smaller than 1 because that makes the number smaller. So I'm going to try a factor of 1/2, which will cut every value in half. Basically, a scale factor tells me exactly how to change this point. So if it's an image like this triangle, I'm going to do each point, and I'm going to figure out what each point is first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this point, and I'm going to multiply both these numbers by -2. So -1 times 2, and then for the y, I'm going to do the same thing, times 2. So basically, I'm going to multiply by 2 both times. My new point is -2, -2. B was 1, 2. So I'm going to take the 1 and multiply by 2, and then I'm going to also multiply the y by 2. I'm using the scale factor. Its new point is 2, 4. And C, I'll multiply both of these by 2 because I have a scale factor of 2. And it's 2 times 2 and then -2 times 2, which gives me the new point of 4, -4. Basically, I just took all these numbers and multiplied them by 2 because my scale factor is 2. Now let's look at what that looks like on my graph. It should be twice as big. So I plot the point -2, 2. There's A prime. Then I plot the point 2, 2, 4. There's my B prime. And then my C prime would be 4, -4. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 4. There is my new image that's twice as big. The area will also double for this. Interesting enough. Scale factor of 3. Well, the scale factor tells me to multiply both the x and y's by 3. So I'm going to take the -1, -1, and multiply both things by 3. That gives me a new point of -3, -3. B was 1, 2, but I'm going to multiply both of those by 3. Gives me a new point of 3, 6. The final point was 2, -2. I'm going to multiply both of those by 3. Give me a new point of 6, -6. Now again, this one should be 3 times bigger. So I'm going to plot it. -3, -3. There's my A prime. B is 3, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's up here. Oh, that's B prime, sorry. And then C prime is 6. 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6 down. Way down here. So now I can connect the dots. And I now have something that's 3 times bigger, including its area. Now, if I do, finally, I'm going to do a shrinking dilation. Shrinking they actually do in Khan Accounting, do it separately. It's just basically using a factor that's between 0 and 1. It means anything time you multiply by a number 0 to 1, you get a smaller number. Again, it's no different than scale factoring for expanding. You multiply by 2 here, you multiply by 3 here. For here, I'm going to multiply all these numbers by 1/2. So I did have -1, -1, but I multiply by 1/2 on both of them. That gives me a new point of -1/2, -1/2. B was 1, 2, so take the 1 and the 2, multiply by 1/2, multiply by 1/2, gives me 1/2. 2 times 1/2, you can put that in your calculator if you need to, but 1/2 of 2 is 1, gives me a new point. Then C is 2, -2, was, but I'm going to multiply this by 1/2 and multiply this one by 1/2. That gives me a new point of 2 times 1/2, or 1/2 of 2 is 1, 1/2 of -2 is -1. So now I have 3 new points. It should create an area that's half the original size. So let's see. Negative half is right about there. It's going to be hard to see. And then b is half 1. There's b prime, so there's part of it. Then my last one is 1, negative 1. So it's now this little dinky little triangle here, which is half the original size. And that's how you do dilations.